Mwah. What's up, YouTube? Poor Man Podcast back with another video. Today's video is going to be, are men inferior to women? Let's look at the data by the Factual Feminist, so you know it's going to be interesting, all right? Before I get to the video, though, I got to do the YouTube stuff. The goal is 20,000 subscribers by June. It's a crazy goal. It's a big goal, but it's my goal, all right? And the only way I'm going to get to my goal is if you give me the HBO special. Do you know what the HBO special is? That's the Help a Brother Out special, all right? So go in and help a brother out. Hit the like and the subscribe button for more content. I'm going to give y'all a second to do that. All right, now let's get to it. Are men inferior to women? Let's look at the data by the Factual Feminist. Let's see what she got to say.
To men, a never-ending succession of books and news stories suggest they are. How many times have you heard that women are wiser, kinder, more efficient, just all-round better human beings? Well, let's look at the evidence. That's coming up next on the Factual Feminist. Now, it used to be fashionable to celebrate men's alleged superiority over women. Many of the great philosophers, Aristotle, Kant, Rousseau, Nietzsche, they deemed women intellectually inferior to men. But today, there's a new kind of reverse female chauvinism that prevails.
Okay, and I'm going to just stop it earlier before I, forget about what I wanted to say here. But the reason why 2,000 years ago you would have believed that men were more intelligent than women, and the reason why a lot of the great philosophers and a lot of the great thinkers at the time believed that men were more intelligent than women was because we definitely and still continue to add more value in terms of inventions. Okay, in terms of innovation and mathematics and science, men definitely, if you look at the numbers, we just always have and probably always will add more to society in terms of inventions and making the world a more people-friendly place, okay? A more livable environment, okay? But in recent science, we do know that men and women are the same in intelligence. It's just men are more interested in things and women are more interested in people. So when you look at STEM fields, when you look at science, math, technology, engineering, you're going to see it dominated by men because men are interested in things. Now, when you go over to see who's signing up to be school teachers, when you look at the teachers, when you look at the nurses, when you look at the social workers, you'll see more women because women are more interested in people, okay? Women have a better social intelligence, and they are equal because if you look at somebody like Thomas Edison, okay, Thomas Edison just happened to be better at communicating. He had better social intelligence, okay? So he was able to find financing, and he stole the idea of electricity from Nikola Tesla. Okay, I believe that's how you say the name, Nikola Tesla. And it's because Nikola Tesla lacked the ability to he lacked the social intelligence. He could think of ideas all day. You know what I mean? He could come up with concepts and inventions and different, whatever. But he didn't have the social intelligence to learn to communicate, to learn to persuade. He couldn't get the financing because he just didn't have the social intelligence, the social IQ. That's also one of the things that makes Elon Musk stand out. There are plenty of super geniuses in the world, but are they charismatic enough to go out and get that financing for their idea? Because if society doesn't believe in you because I don't know, you're antisocial, and it could be because you're a genius. If society doesn't believe in you, they won't support you. So that just kind of shows why the differences of intelligence between men and women, and those differences, because they're not talked about a lot, they get scrambled. So when you see men dominating a certain field, you yell discrimination when it's just men are just interested in this stuff. We don't have that same energy when women dominate fields when it comes to nursing and, like I said, school teacher. When it comes to all the nice cushy jobs, we don't have that same energy. Oh, it must be discrimination. No, we say it's because they're just nicer than men. But let's continue the video.
It is so common that social scientists have given it a name, the Women Are Wonderful phenomenon, or WA for short. Well, here's a sample of recent WA headlines. Well, let's consider some claims of female superiority. Take multitasking. I mean, how many times have you heard that women are much better at multitasking than men? The British writer Sir Ken Robinson, in one of the most watched TED Talks of all time, referred to a raft of research that showed women's superiority in multitasking. But where is this research? What we actually have is a handful of small, inconclusive, inconsistent studies. Now, some show women are better, but others show that it's men who excel. Thomas Busser, a researcher at the University of Amsterdam, took a careful look at the data and concluded that as far as gender differences are concerned, we just don't find either men or women excelling. It's a mix. It turns out that neither sex is particularly good at focusing on more than one thing at once. Well, what about niceness? It's often said that women are kinder than men, and the film critic Roger Ebert praised women to the skies for their kindness and generosity and hoped that they would take over the world. We'd all be better off. Well, is he right? Well, when it comes to generosity, kindness, altruism, once again, you find a lot of conflicting studies. But one of the most thorough and careful surveys was carried out by Tom Smith and his team at the National Opinion Research Center at the University of Chicago.
Here's the thing. Here's another thing too. And this is going into what she said now. People assume that empathy, because women are more empathetic, people assume that that then translates to women are nicer. Okay, and those two things are exclusive. Okay, when the thing about empathy is when you empathize with someone, eventually you begin to blame their quote unquote oppressor. Empathy is really good for evening the playing field, but it's not good when the playing field is already even. Okay, so right now we've gotten to a point where women are allowed to make all the same choices as men. Women are allowed to pretty much do anything that a man can do in the world, okay? But then women amongst each other continue to empathize. And with over empathy comes blaming an oppressor. And when you blame an oppressor and you relate to this person as just a sheep, that nothing they do can be wrong, there's just this big bad mean guy over here, you eventually start to try to oppress the oppressor, if that makes sense. So I can go, black people around the world, I empathize with you. I feel so bad about everything that's happened. I feel so bad about what white people have done to you, and you can blame all the white people in the world, but eventually if those empathetic people come into power, that will turn into the oppression that they once empathized against. Does that make sense? You will eventually start to oppress the people you feel like oppressed you. Okay? So empathy isn't necessarily the same as niceness. Also, when you look at and this goes into the study of who actually does more for when it comes to niceness, when it comes to charitable things. Okay. Well, it's known that women, since they are more social and they care more about their social image than men, because men are okay with being alone, so we don't need society as much. Okay, so that's why when you think about antisocial disorder, you see it more amongst men than women, because women are hardwired to be more social. It's just how it works. Okay, but they also care more about how people see them. Okay, and being nice to people and showing an image of nice is different than actually doing nice charitable acts. Does that make sense? So when it comes to suicide, women are more likely to attempt suicide, but men are more likely to actually commit suicide. It's because when we do certain things, we're not doing it for the society to take us in or to baby us or to, you know what I mean, to make us feel better about ourselves. When we say that we want to do something, we generally stick to it, and we generally are more focused on our pursuits. Okay, so that's just a little bit about like niceness and how people translate empathy to niceness. But let's continue the video and see what they have to say about it.
Smith and his team asked questions that included both male and female styles of altruism, because women tend to adopt nurturing and caring roles towards people more than men, while men excel at good deeds and acts of kindness involving strangers. So in Smith's survey, women proved to be more empathetic than men. They were more likely to feel pity for others and to describe themselves as soft-hearted. But when it came to the empirically critical measure of generosity, how much do you actually do for others? The results were different. When Smith and his colleagues tallied up the results, they found that the score was even. Gender, Smith concluded, is not notably related to altruistic behaviors. Advantage, neither sex. Both sexes have their graces and their own styles of being virtuous. Neither has a monopoly on good or evil. How did we lose sight of this obvious truth? Because we live in the age of wa. The rules of women are wonderful. This is a game, and it's impossible for men to win, because if women do something better than men, that's just evidence of their innate superiority. But if men outperform women, that's proof of discrimination, retrograde patriarchy, or toxic masculinity.
I'm going to replay that because I feel like we got to hear that again. All right, and that's kind of what I was trying to explain earlier. Give me a second. Let me replay this.
That's just evidence of their innate superiority. Because if women this is a game, and it's impossible for men to win, because if women do something better than men, that's just evidence of their innate superiority. But if men outperform women, that's proof of discrimination, retrograde patriarchy, or toxic masculinity.
It's impossible to beat that.
And to violate the spirit of wa is to invite havoc. I mean, suggest, as the former president of Harvard, Larry Summers, once did, that men have some innate advantages in math or spatial reasoning. Well, prepare to change your job. But write a book that's entitled, Are Men Necessary? The End of Men, Men Down, Women Are from Venus, Men Are from Hell, and the gods of the zeitgeist smile. The answer to male supremacy is not female supremacy. The answer is equality, mutual regard, and respect. Let's try that. Are you and anyone you know under the spell of wa? Let me know in the comments section. Please follow me on Twitter and Facebook, and thank you for watching The Factual Feminist.
Okay, that's the end of the video. Just my final thoughts on the video. This is how a lot of this stuff works, okay? It starts off, and this is how a lot of the propaganda comes. And this is exactly what this stuff is. It's all propaganda. They're saying extreme titles that they know they can get away with, and usually the ones they can get away with are just them putting men down. That's all it is. It's them trying. The propaganda when it came to Nazi Germany started exactly like this, okay? And I'm not trying to not be sensitive about the situation and not understand that obviously millions of Jews lost their lives in that situation, okay? But this is how this stuff starts. It starts with just little fun titles like women may be better at this and this, and then it turns into all men are stupid. Here's why women should run the world, okay? And then people start to believe those titles and that propaganda. And then they start trying to come into power, and when they come into power, like I said before, the people who empathize with the oppressed will eventually try to oppress the person they feel like oppressed the person they're empathizing with. So they will try to oppress the quote-unquote oppressor, all right? This is getting out of line. It's getting scary close to something that could get out of hand, okay? So it is up to men to stand up and start talking about these things. That's all it takes. All it takes is your awareness, because most of the facts don't hold water anyway. So all it takes is for you to step up, grow your balls, grow your voice, okay, and say when it's not right. When someone says something that's absolutely bullshit, when somebody says something that's absolutely ridiculous, it's your responsibility to step up and say something about it. The only reason why a lot of the and I'm gonna go back to Nazi Germany here, but the only reason why it even happened was because the people who didn't believe the Jews were responsible for all of the downfalls of the country, they didn't say anything. So Hitler never had an opposing party. Okay, he never had an opposing party that was strong and willing to step up and say no early on, because if he did, it would have been deaded right away. But since nobody ever spoke up and everybody just kind of looked around, eventually Hitler came into power and obviously oppressed the people he believed oppressed him. Till next time, y'all.